Hi everyone, it's me Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to my channel. Today's tutorial is going to be a crochet tutorial. So why do I have a huge knitting needle? Well, because it replicates the broomstick handle. We're going to be using a 25 millimeter knitting needle and a crochet hook that matches the yarn that you're using. I will be using a 4-weight yarn and a prim hook to do this. Now here is what it looks like on one side, and here's what it looks like on the reverse side. So you have these great big loops that are created by using the large knitting needle. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is crochet a chain. And for the knitters out there, this is like doing a crochet knit start, foundation start to your knitting. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be chaining in multiples of 4. So I'm going to go ahead and chain in multiples of 4. There's 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so I've done a total of 12 chains. Now what we're going to do is remove your crochet hook from that loop, draw it up a little bit, and we're going to place it on that loop onto our needle, like such. So your chain is now in the same side that your crochet hook is worked. Your knitting needle and the loop is on the left side, the opposite side. So now what we're going to be doing, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can get a better look at where I'm going and what I'm doing. So you're going to want to make sure that you are adding the same number of loops as the amount of chains. So there's our first loop. We're going to go into the next chain, the very, very next chain, and insert your hook. Now you can do this through back loop only if you choose, and you can work it from the V side of your chain. Next, you're going to yarn over and pull a loop through that chain. And it's a little cumbersome. Then you're going to place that loop onto your knitting needle, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and get these loosened up so that way they go all the way down here on the knitting needle. And you're going to work every single chain exactly the same way. You're going to insert your hook into the very next stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and place that loop onto your knitting needle. Go ahead and work all the way down all of your chains, and I'm going to meet back up with you once I have reached the end, and we will work the next part, the next row, together. Okay, once you have the same amount of loops as you had chains, which again was in multiples of 4, so I have a total of 12, which is 3 repeats. This is the next step in the process to making the broomstick lace. You're going to reach in with your crochet hook into 4 loops. So we're going to work those loops down towards the end and pick up 4 loops. And again, this is cumbersome, especially when you're starting the very first row. Let's see, one more time. There we go. So I've got 4 loops now on my crochet hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull a loop through those 4 loops, and then I'm going to slide them off. I do that just to make it a little bit easier for myself. And now I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet back through all 4 of those loops. And at this point, you can slide your needle and work down, so you can drop your needle and hold those 4 loops in your hand and work a total of 4 single crochets. So we have 4 stitches here, which is each of these loops. And now we're going to put 4 stitches back. We're working over all 4 strands, inserting your hook, yarning over, pulling up a loop, and single crocheting. Yarn over and go through 2 loops. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and work the next 4 loops the same as we just did. We're going to slide our work down here, insert your crochet hook, and pick up the next 4 loops. And again, I'm going to yarn over and pull that loop through all 4 of them stitches and slip stitch. Now I'm connected to those 4 loops. I'm going to slide them off of the needle, slide the last 4 back up on my needle, and now I can concentrate on working just these 4 loops by placing 4 single crochets into this loop. So we're going to chain 1 and insert your hook back into, picking up all 4 of those loops, yarn over and pull a loop through, and single crochet, yarn over and pull through 2. So that's your first one. Let's do 3 more single crochets. 2, 3, and for your total of 4 single crochets. Now we're going to go back and pick up these last 4 loops, sliding them down to the end of the needle, inserting your crochet hook into all 4 of them. Got sparkly stuff from spinning yarn. I've picked up all 4 of them loops onto my crochet hook, and I'm just going to hold them onto my needle, yarn over my crochet hook, pull a loop through. Now I can slide them off the needle. Now I'm completely off of the needle. Now I'm going to slip stitch and chain 1. And now I'm going to place 4 single crochets around all 4 of those loops together. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. You have completed your first row of broomstick lace. So now we're going to work back over and start again. Now you can do this one of 2 ways. This is entirely up to you as to how you choose to do this. You can chain 1, turn your work, and work across 12 single crochets. Just insert your hook back into that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and single crochet. Then you just single crochet into the next one and continue working across, giving yourself a whole row of single crochets to work from. Again, remember that your stitch count should remain the same. I'm also going to show you the other way to do this. Pull back out to this very last stitch, remove my chain 1, turn my work back, and now I'm down here at the end. I'm going to pull up a loop, and we're going to start all over again, sliding that loop onto our knitting needle, like such. And then insert your hook into the very next stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Once you pull up the loop, you take that loop and you place it onto your knitting needle and slide it down. Go to your very next stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, and I'm just yarning over from behind, pulling that loop through, pulling up a loop, placing it on the knitting needle, sliding it down, and tightening up that loop. Like that. We need one more for this particular section here. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull a loop through, pull it up, and place it onto your knitting needle. Tighten your loop down. So you've now completed the 4 stitches above that particular broomstick stitch. Now you need to do the next one and the following one. You do it exactly the same way. You're skipping over your slip stitch that is between the two and going right into your next single crochet stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and insert your needle into that loop, tightening it down. Again, insert your hook to the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and place that loop onto your knitting needle and cinch it down a little bit. Just keeping the tension the same through all of your loops. Go ahead and continue working the rest of the way across. Your stitch count will not change. You will still have 12 loops on your knitting needle. I'm going to meet back up with you once I've reached the end, and we will work the next row. Once you have made it all the way to the end and you now have your 12 loops back on your knitting needle, all you're going to do is continue to work the same as the previous row, where we take the loops off the hook. So I'm going to slide down the first 4 loops. I'm going to insert my hook into those 4 loops. I'm going to yarn over, maybe, pull a loop through, and chain 1. They're all together. I'm going to pull that off my knitting needle, pull that knitting needle back into the work so I can drop it and concentrate just on these 4 loops. So I'm going to separate them out again, make sure I have all 4 loops separated. I'm going to place 4 single crochets going in through all 4 of those loops. So there's the first, second, the third, and the fourth. So once again, there is your broomstick stitch. We're going to go ahead and work over the next 4 stitches together, bringing my next 4 stitches down to the end of my knitting needle, taking my crochet hook and inserting it into all 4 of those stitches, yarning over, pulling up a loop through those stitches, and slip stitching just like that. Now I have them all connected. I can slide them off the needle and chain 1. And now I'm going to place 4 single crochets down into those 4 loops. So we remove 4 together, and now we're making 4 stitches back. So that was 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to do the last 4 stitches, and that is all there is to the broomstick lace. It is a little cumbersome, I will admit. It's not something that I would want to do all the time, but it is an option, and you can use it for a multitude of things. I actually have made a scarf out of nothing but broomstick lace, and it turns out to be a pretty cool fabric. So I've slip stitched it all together. Now I'm going to, I have my chain 1. I'm going to place 4 single crochets around all 4 of those loops. 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm just going to draw up a loop so it doesn't pull out while I'm showing you. And you kind of sometimes have to adjust things. But there you have it. Here is the broomstick lace in a 4-weight yarn. This is using a 25mm US 50 knitting needle. A crochet hook and yarn that match. So there you have it. This was with a bigger yarn. I did this with a 5-weight yarn, just so you can see the difference. All right, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this stitch tutorial. Hopefully it gave you a little understanding as to how the broomstick lace works. It is very easy to accomplish once you get the hang of it. To begin with, it is very trying to figure out how to hold everything together. The best thing that I can say is to slide your work back down on the knitting needle, set the knitting needle down, and work just those 4 loops. So here we are. All right, be blessed, be a blessing, and until next time, everyone, bye for now.